Please welcome Mr. Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. How y'all doing?
Doing well, and you?
It's good to be here.
Congratulations on having a book out, man.
Thank you so much. It's been a long time coming. I'm glad it's over with.
Well, let me ask you.
It's the title, I'm sorry, Steve. It's Straight Shooter is the name of the book, by the way. Go ahead, Steve.
Concerning the book, you signed 25,000 copies?
Yes, I did.
20
and let me be very, very clear. I signed them.
Yes.
It wasn't some stamp or whatever. My damn right arm still hasn't recovered.
Yeah, Bob Dylan
still trying to get it back.
Yeah, Bob Dylan got caught. There was a whole big kerfuffle, but not you. You manned up and did it.
I signed 25,000 copies. Make no mistake about it. And that doesn't count the bookstores.
Wow.
You said it was a long time coming. I read that you had to wait, or you wanted to wait until your mother passed.
I had to. That was the promise she made me vow. In 2011, I think it was early 2011, she did not want me to write about the book as long as she was alive.
Because it was...
because she knew that I would celebrate her, but inevitably in celebrating her, I would have to detail some of the issues that I had with my father. And she did not want to be alive when that happened. My mother was an incredibly, incredibly private person. She's always been that way. Never had anything to hide. She just didn't feel like her business was anybody's business. And so she made me promise. And I kept that promise.
And you basically say that while you're assumed to be the straight shooter, it was actually your mom that was the straight shooter for you, correct?
Oh, without question.
Right. In fact,
no nonsense.
You chronicle. I had a similar thing. I think we all do at some point where we start to say, "Hey, I'm kicking ass here." You get hired by ESPN, and everything's going great, and then there's a negotiation that doesn't go quite well, and now you find yourself in a what am I going to do situation. It's your mom who comes in, and it involved a mirror.
Yes.
What? Explain what happened. I think this is
she
brilliant.
was, in May of 2000 and actually in April of 2009. My last day was May, but a month earlier they had then informed me that I would be let go. That it was not a unilateral decision. Essentially, the honchos wanted me gone. And they didn't like my attitude or whatever. They didn't go into any details. They just said, we're not bringing you back. And so I really was devastated by hearing that news. It wasn't entirely unexpected, but it didn't, minimize the sting. And instead of going home, I went to my mother's house, back to my mother's house where I grew up in the same bunk bed I grew up sleeping in. And I just laid there for 2 days and didn't return calls, didn't talk to anybody or whatever. And then afterwards, after those 2 days went by, my mother always making me breakfast, my toasted bagels, with extra butter and my hot tea. And she brought a tray in the room with breakfast, and she put a handheld mirror on it. And I was like, what is this for? She said, I'm just wondering when you're going to start looking at yourself.
Wow.
She said, I'm not saying that you deserve to be fired, but you've been in this house on many occasions complaining about the job, complaining about bosses, complaining about assignments, complaining about, their willingness to marginalize or minimize you. You complained a lot, and you talked about them, and at times you talked to them. You weren't disrespectful or insubordinate, but that didn't mean you have the greatest attitude. You're not a boss, and you wouldn't want to be around somebody like that. So why should those bosses want to be around you?
That's so clear.
And she said, you just need to look at yourself, and you need to grow up. You need to become a bit more mature and understand that this had a lot to do with you.
Could that message have had an impact on you if it was somebody else that said that?
Possibly, because I believe it or not, one of my gifts that people don't realize, as much as I talk, I don't get enough credit for listening. I actually do listen. You don't get to where I am without listening. And so I would have listened, but it would not have hit me the same. I might have been a bit more resistant to it. I might have been slow to reflect on the kind of things that was said. But it definitely would have hit me significantly less harder if it were not coming from my mother. Your guy's behind you raising his hand.
I'll get to him in a second. The natural reaction is for most people to be defensive when they hear something like that.
Yeah, but you and
know what I mean?
I'm listen. If most of us love our mamas.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people on this planet who don't love their mama. And so no matter how defensive you may get, there's a limit upon which you can go in being defensive when it's your mama.
Yeah.
You can try, but at the end of the day, you got to monitor your tone. You got to monitor your language. You got to monitor all those things when it comes to your mama, because that's mom. And so I'm a grown man, and my mother passed away when I was 49, going on 50. And my mother's mentality to the day she died. I mean, if I said something, she'd be like, well, who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah.
Do you know who you're talking to? And I had to be like, yes, Mom.
Scares the crap out of you.
I'm 47 years old. My mom is 75 years old. She's about 4'11". She lives with us, right? She lives in my house, and you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter how old and how small she might be. Like, she's still, I still kick my ass.
My mother she and I were very, very close. I think the only person that could get away with more than me from my mama is my little nephew. He's right there. She loved her grandson. They're both her grandchildren, but he was living away. He was under her roof for a little while, and my mother loved the ground he walked on. He's about the only person that came close to me.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about what you do for a living, and because I have a great deal of respect for anybody who does what you do for a living. We've been here for coming up on 18 years, and down the hall from us is thank you, is the Fanatic, and so I've become friendly and friends with a lot of sports talk people. Yeah. It is you never had. It's always like you're in an argument with people, right? It's almost like there's never a debate. But also, because of what you do, no matter where you go, people want to debate you. And so whatever you say, you really have to stick to your guns, right? And also, admit if you've been wrong or whatever. But, people want to debate you everywhere you go.
Well, first of all, you don't have to. You don't have to engage in debates. You don't have to admit when you're wrong. If you are, that's a great quality to have. That's one of the things that I pride myself in doing, particularly with the athletes and the professionals that I cover. If I say something publicly and I'm wrong, I'll apologize publicly. I won't apologize privately for something that I did publicly. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, people don't realize that about sports. They don't get it. So many people in the world of sports really, really don't get it. And I can't tell you how many of my colleagues I've had to have this discussion with. I will pull guys to the side because I'm a veteran in the business now, and I kind of know how it works. And I'd pull them to the side, and I said, I don't care who you are or what you do. The sports fan, unless you're an insider that's breaking trades or unless you're an insider like that, the sports fan never thinks you know more than them. Mm-hmm. They always think they're the expert. So what they want in return is simply your perspective to know whether they agree or disagree with you and why. Yeah. That is it. So when people roll up on me to debate me, I stop them in their tracks. I say, I get paid to debate. I don't do that for free. You ask me a question, I'll answer you. But answering a question is different than debating. You're not getting in a debate with me because I don't get paid to do that with you.
But what if somebody wants to debate, say, Rihanna versus Beyonce? For those who don't know, Stephen is here on today, and we'll explain. He made a comment. It was on Sherry Shepherd's show that you guys were talking about Rihanna playing the Super Bowl, and you said Rihanna and Beyonce, and no Beyonce. It's funny. That seems pretty harmless to me.
It's an innocuous comment.
Of all things, a statement someone might make, it's amazing what takes and what can take off virally because it made a bit of it's trending right now, today.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I'm going to address some of these people with my own podcast. I got my podcast, No Mercy, KNOW. I come out with that at least 3 days a week. I'm going to do a podcast on that tomorrow. But let me say this, a couple of things. There's people getting on my damn nerves. So I'm definitely going to say something about it. They done ticked me off. Okay, first of all, Rihanna's fantastic. Yeah. I know that. She's Rihanna for crying out loud. Yeah. All I was trying to say is, I'm a Beyonce dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think there's only one. There's only one, and she's phenomenal. That doesn't mean that Rihanna isn't phenomenal in her own right. But when you consider what Beyonce did at the Super Bowl by herself, when you consider what she did with Bruno Mars and Coldplay, separate Super Bowl performance, I might add, okay, that's a lot to live up to. And so, what really ticked me off and the reason I felt compelled to apologize because I saw people twisting it and turning it into, oh, you're comparing two black women. And I'm like, what? I'm a fan. Of both of them, but especially Beyonce because Rihanna's is a great singer, damn good performer. But you know what? I used to like MC Hammer. I used to like, a whole bunch of people that could get that. New Edition, I loved them. I loved them. But Michael Jackson was a little different. Prince was a little different. I did not know that it was a crime to say such a thing. This is new to me, even to me, okay, who lives in the media. I did not know that it was a crime to say, well, damn, there is Michael Jackson. We are talking Michael Jackson here, you know what I'm saying? And so people twist it the way that they do, and that's fine. But I just wanted Rihanna, who's getting ready to perform at the Super Bowl, and I thought the NFL made a phenomenal selection in picking her. Yeah. I just wanted to let her know there is a standard that has been set.
Yes.
Okay, because Beyonce is spectacular, and that's a lot to live up to. That's all I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to say like, yo, I don't love Rihanna. I love Rihanna. I listen to her music all the time. You understand what I'm saying? All the time. I love her.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the Beyonce that was doing it up here.
Yeah.
All right. And then last year, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Mary J. Blige, Eminem, 50, they turned it out. I'm like, you got to show up. Yeah. I did not know. Yeah. I did not know that it was a crime, that the cops need to come and cuff me and take me away for committing such a heinous act. I had no idea.
And, Stephen, I believe if Rihanna shows up and does the greatest Super Bowl performance ever, you'll be delighted.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I will be there. Let's get that out the way. I will be there, number one. Number two, you damn right I'll be excited. Number three, I'm rooting for her. All right. I'm rooting for her. And by the way, I'm rooting for anybody who comes on halftime for the Super Bowl finale because the precedents have been set.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you see what you have seen and you're accustomed to it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're watching Michael Jackson, God rest his soul, or Prince do their thing, and then some person comes on halftime for the Super Bowl and they just standing there leaning against the wall, we gonna have a problem. Because, we're accustomed to something.
Sure.
Certainly not implying that that's what Rihanna would do, because I know better than that. I'm just saying, my goodness, I did not know that it was a crime to say, yo, y'all, there's only one Beyonce.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
All right.
That is
So,
no.
speaking of rooting for people and for being a fan, it's a great time to be a fan in Philadelphia. The Eagles obviously are doing really well.
Yeah.
Sixers are playing well. Flyers have turned it around a little bit. The Phils did what they did. The Union were fantastic. But I want to ask you specifically about the Eagles this weekend and where the Sixers are playing, because it seems like at this point over the last few weeks, the Sixers are really starting to gel in a really tough conference. So what are your thoughts about the Eagles on Saturday, and what are your thoughts about where the Sixers are?
Eagles first. They better win this damn game.
They better.
You better win this damn game. I would tell you that they've been, by and large, the best team in football for the first 12 weeks of the season. I think over the last 5, we've seen the San Francisco 49ers elevate to another level. The acquisition of Christian McCaffrey has really elevated them. And I think that they're the team that can go anywhere, any place, anytime, and beat anybody. And even with a third-string quarterback in Brock Purdy, they can pull it off because their defense is that lethal. They've got athleticism, they've got quickness, they got headhunters, they've got body snatchers, they got rough riders. San Francisco is no joke, but neither are the Eagles when Jalen Hurts is healthy. The Eagles' success all comes down to this man. I like, Gardner Minshew. He's nice. We've seen him drop 34 on the Dallas Cowboys. We saw him be a starting quarterback in Jacksonville. He belongs in the NFL, but he ain't Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is, I can't say enough about him. I never dreamed in my wildest dreams he would be this good. He is a quarterback in this league, and the Eagles' top priority should be making sure they sign him and lock him in long term. He deserves the money. And I'm talking, guys, I don't want to hear no $120 million or whatever. If you got these guys signing $200 million contracts, Kyler Murray's got $189 million guaranteed. Russell Wilson's got $165 million guaranteed. My brother Jalen Hurts deserves north of that.
Yeah. For one season, though?
Well, let me tell you why. He's big. Okay, he's bigger. He's stronger. And it's not just his ability, his dual threat, because he can run with the football as well as throw it, but you get paid because they're projecting what you'll do based off of what you've done. You saw him go into the offseason and work on his game. Look at how much better he's come back.
Agreed.
Chances are he's not going to get worse. And here's where the key thing comes in. Tell me one thing he's done wrong as a leader. One.
Yeah.
Hasn't done anything. See, that's very important from the quarterback position because you're the guy. And when you're the guy that leads men, that galvanizes folks, and you see that you're gone and there's a drop off without you, that's the final nugget of evidence to say, we got to take care of this, brother.
Most important position in all of sports?
Yeah, you can make that argument, but I would tell you when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, you're damn straight. You saw how you did the 2 weeks without him.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think that, listen,
clear.
He's there, you win. If he's compromised in any way, Giants got a chance because they're playing with house money. Daniel Jones is being exceptionally well coached by Dable. Saquon Barkley is a star. And a bunch of no-names come out there, recognize the fact that they're no-names in a lot of people's households, and they've played like they've got a chip on their shoulders. And that's what we got to pay attention to. So I expect the Eagles to win this game, but I would tell you they better win this game. They better win this game. Not as good as this defense and this offense has been throughout the year. I don't give a damn if Jalen Hurts is hurt. You should be able to beat the Giants. You will not beat San Francisco because they will win. They will beat Dallas. You will not beat San Francisco without Jalen Hurts. It will not happen. As for the Sixers, here's the deal. They're very good. I've known Doc Rivers a quarter century. He's a friend of mine. I love him dearly. Joel Embiid is a superstar. Tyrese Maxey is the second best player on this team when completely healthy. James Harden is no joke. He can still ball. The key for the Sixers is that Harden has to embrace his role as the third guy who's a facilitator for the other two. You still got to be a threat. You can't go Ben Simmons on us and don't shoot, okay, which we know Harden is going to shoot the ball. But you've got to be that playmaker. You've got to be perfectly okay, and you got to be somebody who knows there's two primary scorers ahead of you, but you're the guy that's the glue because you're the one that brings it all together. You have to accept that role in order for you to be able to beat Boston, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn. That is what I believe. If you don't have guys locked down mentally into those roles, those three teams that I mentioned, especially Milwaukee and Boston, will exploit it. And you will go home.
Do you think he's embracing it?
I think so. I think so. Let me tell you the other part, too. Outside, first of all, Cleveland is no joke with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and they've got a front line that know their roles exceptionally well. They defend, they rebound, they rim protect. So they're formidable too. Specifically, when it comes to the Sixers, Miami is a threat for this one reason that people keep failing to pick up. Jimmy Butler knows Joel Embiid. And he knows Tobias Harris. And he knows how to tweak things and pinch nerves in such a way that could affect their games detrimentally. I'm talking about, and I don't mean it in a literal sense, but I'll give you a perfect example. Jimmy, remember how Lawrence Taylor once told he used to send prostitutes to people's hotel rooms before games and stuff like that? You see, Jimmy Butler, the kind of dude that might decide to have a party in South Beach, the night before a game because, James will show up to this. James Harden will show up to this. Or do something that'll get Joel Embiid compromised or whatever. I don't know what that may be. I'm just throwing stuff out there because Jimmy Butler knows stuff like that. Yeah. Not to say that he would, but he's smart. And he knows the Sixers.
Savvy.
It's funny to think of it that way, and when you because it is you think of the moment of game time and the duration of the game itself.
Right.
But there is so much, and I've heard you talk about this before, that extends well beyond those parameters that is in play all the time. Like you're saying, the subtle sabotaging.
Yes.
And it's an amazing thing. What was the most outlandish act of sabotage you ever saw?
Well, it wasn't outlandish, but I will tell you something. It's a couple of stars that had the same technique. And, of course, I will never say who it is because they're married now. They weren't married then, but they were married. They're married now. And one of the things they used to do, they were stars in the league, and people knew exactly who they were, and they had certain proclivities per se. They liked the ladies, you know, and what they would do is they knew they could go from city to city and have anybody they wanted. Not literally, but figuratively speaking, they could have a pick of the litter. And what happened? Every time they had a big game, they would get into the city a day before, and whoever was a female of the opponent, they would take that female.
Whoa.
They would take that female. They would get that they knew that she would like them more than she liked the person they were with.
Wow.
And they would literally
Target
her, be seen
my.
with her, and ultimately, on many occasions, would leave with that person just to rile the person up that they had to play against the next night.
diabolical. Yes.
Diabolical.
And I will tell you, it never failed. It worked every time. Every single time the person who lost their girl played with emotion, they'd foul out, they'd get in foul trouble, their shooting percentage would drop dramatically. All of those kind of things happened because they were mentally rattled.
I love it.
Terrible.
Guys, Steven's got a heart out. He's got to get out here. He's going to be at the Free Library today at 1 o'clock promoting his book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes. I do have one last question, though, Steven.
Yes.
People who pick up the book, what are you hoping that they will take from this, that they'll get out of it?
I want them to be inspired and motivated. I want them to understand that, you know what, no matter what trials and tribulations come your way, no matter how daunting the task is for you, you can make it. You can make it happen. There's going to be a lot of people standing in your way. There's going to be a lot of obstacles standing in your way, but you'll be surprised if you're focused and locked in and you want it bad enough. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to step up to help you. This is America. There's a lot of great people that care enough about you to want to help you excel. But the first order of business is to show your willingness to do for yourself in that regard. And no matter what the obstacles are, no matter what the trials and tribulations, no matter what race, color, or creed you're from, we all have problems. We all have our troubles, but we all have the ability to overcome it. And I think that my book, exemplifies that.
It's a great message. Straight Shooter. Welcome back to Philadelphia,
Thank
by the
you,
way.
man. I appreciate
Stephen A.
it.
Smith, everybody. Thank you for being here.